Hi aspirants, welcome to the weekly current affairs of Polity and International Relations. The first topic for today is special category status. So this is in news because certain states like Bihar, Andhra Pradesh have been claiming for the special category status. Specifically, Andhra Pradesh is unique because it was guaranteed this or promised this special category status when Telangana was bifurcated. Now, what is the issue? In the past, the special category status was given by the National Development Council during the days of Planning Commission. This classification was actually done on the recommendation of the 5th Finance Commission in 1969. But actually, there is no such provision for special category status in the Constitution. And this recommendation by the 5th Finance Commission in 1961 was based on the Gargill formula. But the 14th Finance Commission in its report in 2015 removed this special category status for states except for northeastern states and the 3 hilly states. But instead it suggested something else, that is to increase the tax devolution to the states from 32% to the 42%, and it has been implemented since 2015. And the next topic is about Palk Bay scheme. So why is this in news? So recently we keep hearing that Indian fishermen are being arrested by the Sri Lankan Coast Guard actually. So why does this happen? It's particularly because Indian fishermen are said to be using these bottom trawlers. So what does this bottom trawlers do? It causes a lot of environmental concerns, and that is why Sri Lanka is worried about this. The Palk Bay scheme was launched in 2017 under the Blue Revolution program. This scheme is financed by the union and the state governments with the beneficiary participation. And it has envisaged 2,000 vessels in 3 years to the fishermen of the state to motivate them to abandon bottom trawling. So what is deep sea fishing? Fishing is considered to be deep sea fishing if the water depth is at least 30 meters. And the next topic is about Good Governance Week. Good Governance Week is from 20th December to 26th December. The motto is to redress and dispose of public grievances and improvise service delivery down to the village level. This could be asked in the prelims, so we have to know this. And during this Good Governance Week, something called as Prashan Gan Ki Aur is celebrated. This is the campaign for various citizen-focused events. And 25th December is celebrated as the Good Governance Day. A series of programs are planned during the week which will aim to highlight various good governance initiatives taken by the center. The events include ease of living and next phase of reforms for reducing compliance burden, experience sharing workshop by DARPG on best practices, Mission Karma Yogi, Good Governance Week portal, and so on. And now, what are the challenges towards good governance? It includes corruption, delay in justice, criminalization of politics, environmental security, and women empowerment. These topics might be useful for your mains exam while giving your answers. And what has the government done to overcome these challenges? It has taken certain steps such as Good Governance Index. The Good Governance Index is launched by the Ministry of Personal, Public Grievances and Pension to determine the status of governance in the country. It assesses the impact of various interventions taken up by the state governments and the union territories. National E-Governance Plan. It has the vision to make all government services accessible to the common man in his locality. And apart from this, some other measures taken to overcome the challenges for good governance include Right to Information Act, setting up of the Niti Aayog, Make in India program, the implementation of Lokpal, and so on. The next topic is ATAL ranking of institutions on innovation achievements for 2021. This ARIIA is being split into two as technical ranking and for non-technical ranking. In the technical category, the first three institutions were IIT Madras was the first, and the second ranking was for IIT Bombay, and the third rank was for IIT Delhi. In the non-technical category, the first rank went to Indira Gandhi National Open University. Indian Institute of Management was the second, and this has been awarded by the Ministry of Education, and it is being implemented by AICTE and the Ministry's Innovation Cell. And there are 9 parameters based on which these rankings are given, and if you see clearly, most of or exactly all the parameters are related towards innovation. So the first thing, for example, a series of activities have to be conducted towards innovation, and academic programs have to be made in such a way that it supports innovation, and there has to be a dedicated infrastructure to support innovation, and there should be ventures, new ventures established to support innovation in higher education, and there should be support for angel and venture capital funding investments towards innovation and higher education, and intellectual property generation should be supported, and there should be a separate annual budget on promoting innovation activities, and there should be a participation of higher education institutions towards innovation. So you can see that all the parameters are related towards supporting innovation. The next topic is about defamation case. So what is defamation? It is the communication of a false statement that harms the reputation of an individual. It could be a person, it could be a business, a product, a group, a religion, or even the nation. In India, defamation can be a civil wrong and also a criminal wrong. In case it is a civil wrong, it has to be redressed by awarding a compensation. Maybe if someone gives you a defamation statement towards you, you file a case and you win that case, you might get a compensation amount for that. In case it is a criminal offense, in that case it comes under IPC section 499 and it will attract imprisonment. And civil defamation is based on tort law. So what is this tort law? And it is an area of law which does not rely on statute to define wrongs, but takes from an ever increasing body of case laws to define what would constitute a wrong. So it works in the other way. So it will examine what could constitute a wrong. And what has the Supreme Court said about defamation? The Supreme Court says in the Subramanian Swamy versus Union of India case 2014, the court approved the constitutional validity of section 499 and 500. Though defamation can sometimes be against freedom of speech, but here the court says freedom cannot be ruined solely because another individual can have his freedom. So just because I have freedom of speech, I cannot ruin someone else's freedom. So again, defamation case is also working towards freedom. So it is a fundamental right. The next topic is about the PESA Act. So actually, what is PESA? So when 73rd Constitutional Amendment was made in 1992, it was for devolution of powers to the local bodies, that is Panchayat and municipal bodies and so on. But at the same time, the tribal regions, particularly the Northeast region and so on, they were not ready to accept the laws which were applicable for the rest of the countries. So a special extension was made for them, Panchayat Raj extension for the scheduled areas. So this was called as the PESA Act. So this act is in news because a GST of 18% is being imposed on the kendu leaves. But this is against the Forest Act of 2006 and also the PESA Act of 1996. And what is this kendu leaf? It is also called as the green gold of Odisha. It is used to wrap beedis, and many people survive on this. And the kendu leaf is also used in traditional medical practitioners' use. These tiny fruits of kendu are used to treat malaria, diarrhea, dysentery, and so on. So it is not just used for wrapping up beedis, it's also used in medical purposes as well. And Odisha, which is fighting against this 18% GST on kendu leaves, it is the third largest producer of kendu leaf after Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh. So something more about the Panchayat Raj extension to the Scheduled Areas Act 1996, or simply the PESA. The PESA is called as the backbone of tribal legislation in India, and it came into effect after the Bhuria Committee recommendations in 1995. This could be an important question for prelims. Here, to implement PESA, the state governments are supposed to enact state laws for their scheduled areas in consonance with the national law. But this has resulted in the partial implementation of PESA, because state governments are not able to implement this properly, and this has made implementation of PESA a partial one. The next topic is election of speaker. So this topic is in news because the Maharashtra government has moved a resolution in the assembly seeking to amend the rules of 6 and 7. They are trying to amend rules 6 and 7. As per the rule 6 of the Maharashtra Legislative Assembly rules, the governor shall fix a date for holding the election, and the secretary shall send an information to every member, a notice of the date so fixed. So it means without the governor fixing the date for election, the election for the speaker cannot happen at all. So now what is the problem? The government has argued that amendments are in line with the rules that are in practice of Lok Sabha and the upper house of the legislature as well, and so it is right. But the problem here is the government can amend the rules to conducting the election. So the problem here is maybe the Maharashtra state government or the Maharashtra legislature can make an amendment to rule 6 and 7 on how to conduct the election. Actually, the amendment they have made is usually the election happens using a secret ballot, as it is shown here, but now they are trying to change it into just a voice vote. So choosing the speaker will be just a voice vote, and they give the reason for this, saying that it will avoid horse trading. But the problem here is the governor has to call for the election, and that the state government cannot amend. So it has become a tussle between two constitutional bodies, whether it's the governor who's going to come down or the legislative assembly of the Maharashtra state which is going to give up. So we have to wait and see what happens. The next topic is production linked incentive scheme for textiles. It is a part of the production linked incentives for other 13 sectors together. The PLI scheme for textile aims to promote the production of high value man-made fibers, garments, technical textiles. So I hope you know what is technical textiles. Those textiles which are manufactured for purposes other than garments, such as for firefighters, shipping and tarpaulins, so on. And what is the eligibility to avail this PLI scheme? Any person or company willing to invest an amount of minimum 300 crore on machinery, equipment or something to produce man-made fibers will be eligible for this scheme. An incentive of 15% of the turnover will be given. And apart from this, 600 crore investment should happen within the third year. And investors willing to spend a minimum of just 100 crores under the same conditions shall be eligible to apply in the second part of the scheme. Here the incentive will be less than 15%. Under the PLI scheme, the center will subsidize eligible manufacturers by paying incentives on incremental production. So what is incremental production? Let us say you have a company and you are producing 100 barrels of some item. If you keep on producing that same amount of item, you cannot avail this scheme. You should increase the production. In case you increase the production, you can avail this scheme. And 2/3 of international trade in textiles is of man-made and technical textiles. And this shows we have to concentrate more on this sector, and this scheme is one such idea. The next topic is about steps to monitor illegal liquor manufacturing in Bihar. This has been a huge commotion in Bihar nowadays, including the election manifesto, all these things happening in Bihar, because Bihar has prohibited alcohol. But there has something happening opposing to this. So how to control it? In the action of controlling it, the prisons are overwhelming. There have been many cases. The court is not able to solve these cases. There have been a lot of pending cases, and the government is struggling on what to do next. So what are the factors in this law? So one thing, maybe it indulges right of privacy. What to eat or what to drink is a single person's or an individual's right, and whether the state can interfere in it or not. And it also says there is a ground of manifest arbitrariness in this law. So what is it? The law grants health permits, that is for health purposes you can use alcohol, and temporary permits to out of state tourists. So for out of state tourists they can use alcohol, but the people of Bihar, they can't buy it. So it means it is like some sort of arbitrariness. And what about Article 47? The Constitution places a responsibility on all state governments to at least contain, if not curtail, consumption of alcohol. So by Constitution as well, prohibiting alcohol is validated. Alcohol prohibition is in force in states of Gujarat, Mizoram, Nagaland and Lakshadweep. This could be a important question in mains, so we have to know these things. The next topic is on international relations. The Summit for Democracy was organized by the Biden administration, the president of the US. They say it is to renew democracy at home and confront autocracies abroad. The US president also announced the establishment of the Presidential Initiative for Democratic Renewal that will provide foreign assistance initiatives. Reminds about Marshall Plan, which was used during the Cold War. Yes. The summit was centered around three principal themes: defending against authoritarianism, addressing the fighting corruption, advancing respect for human rights. The issue here is China and Russia were not invited, but Taiwan was invited, and this is against one China policy, and this is why China is accusing Biden for this. China attacked the American political system as vetocracy. So this topic is completely useful for mains. The next topic is about Connectivity Partnership Document. The European Union and India Connectivity Partnership was announced at the European Union India Leaders Meeting in May 2021. The leaders adopted a connectivity partnership document as a part of the summit, and it is for working together on digital, energy, transport, people to people connectivity and so on. The India and European Union Connectivity Partnership committed the two sides to working together on digital, energy, transport, people to people connectivity and so on, and this partnership is seen as a response to China's Belt and Road Initiative and comes as the European Union's negotiations with China on the Comprehensive Agreement on Investment. And European Union has run into trouble because of the CAI with China. And apart from this connectivity partnership document, a contract for the second tranche of 150 million US dollars from European Union for the Pune Metro Rail project was also signed. This could be a potential prelims question. And the next topic is about the Noumea Agreement. So where is Noumea? It is a regional capital of the New Caledonia. The decolonization process that stemmed from violence in 1988 led to the French government handing New Caledonia a broad autonomy under the Noumea Agreement. So the Noumea Agreement was signed in 1988. And so why is it in news now? New Caledonia has voted to be with France itself and not become as a separate independent country, and France has welcomed this. And the native Canucks are the people, they are the majority people in New Caledonia, and they support to make New Caledonia as a separate country. But through the years we can see that the support to with French has been increased. And due to the corona issue going on, the elections have been not conducted properly. Many people have not participated in the election, but at last it has been concluded that the votes are saying the people of New Caledonia are ready and they are willing to be with France. The next topic is about Organization of Islamic Cooperation. So why it is in news? In the newspaper, these things were seen. That is, India hit out at Pakistan as well as the Organization of Islamic Cooperation for raising the Kashmir issue at the United Nations Human Rights Commission. And it said the grouping has helplessly allowed itself to be held hostage by Islamabad. So it's accusing Organization of Islamic Cooperation of being supported by Pakistan or supporting Pakistan. And it is also questioned, India has questioned thousands of women and girls from minority communities have been subjected to abductions, forced marriages and conversions in Pakistan and its occupied territories as well. Pakistan has been engaged in systematic persecution, forced conversions, targeted killings, sectarian violence and faith-based discrimination, and all this is happening, but this has not been seen or condemned by Organization of Islamic Cooperation, but at the same time it's raising Kashmir issue in UN. So what is about the organization? It is the second largest intergovernmental organization after the United Nations General Assembly. It was established in Rabat in Morocco on the 25th September of 1969. It's headquartered in Jeddah in Saudi Arabia. India is not a member of Organization of Islamic Cooperation, but India was invited as a guest of honor at the 46th session in 2019, and 2019 was the 50th anniversary of Organization of Islamic Cooperation. And the potential prelims question could be a maps question. So you should have to know the countries which belong to the organization, but it's actually easy. The western part of Africa, the West Asian countries, and of course the countries around Indonesia. So we know Indonesia has the largest population of Islamic people, and that is a clue for it. And apart from it, a very few countries in the northernmost part of the South American continent. So these are the clues. Now using these clues, find out which are the countries which are belonging to this organization and try to put it in the comment. The next topic is Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, or simply RCEP. So it has been in news for years together, and now it's in news because it has come to effect on January 1, 2022. And this is the world's largest free trade zone in terms of trade volume. It is a trade deal between the 10 ASEAN countries plus China, Japan, South Korea, Australia and New Zealand. You can see Australia and New Zealand. Apart from that, China and Japan together. With that, you have all the 10 ASEAN countries. So these countries together form the RCEP. So what are the aims? It aims to lower the tariff, open up trade in services and promote investment to help emerging economies catch up with the rest of the world. And 30% of the global GDP will be from this RCEP. It's around $26.2 trillion. Nearly 1/3 of the world's population are in this RCEP countries. So what are all the challenges? And particularly why India is trying to be out of this RCEP? Why India does not want to be part of this RCEP? Because it feels the products of China could be dumped in. Being trade free, being tariff free, the products could be dumped into India, but India cannot fight with the products of China, which could be a problem or a loss for India. And what are the challenges for those countries which are in RCEP? It may leave the smaller ASEAN countries at a disadvantage because RCEP does not cover their major industries. The Asian countries, the small Asian countries, major industries are not covered here. And the least developed countries such as Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, and they are currently benefiting from the inter-Asian trade, but this could be eroded now because it becomes a whole group of all these countries including China and Japan. So that is why it could be a disadvantage for the other small Asian countries, and India has come out of, or it is out of this RCEP, and we have to wait and see whether India joins RCEP later or it continues its position. And that's it for today. Jai Hind.